Okay, we are here and we're going to discuss the post game. This is the post game show of the Jazz Cleveland game that happened on the 23rd. Jazz fall short in but a good effort overall, pretty good effort. I was happy at the game. I thought it was a fun game to watch, so no complaints there. Um, Still some Keontae didn't play again, so I thought the offense actually, and both offense and defense, was better as a result of that. But still, Clarkson played a whole ton of minutes, which I didn't particularly like to see. But overall, it was a good game to watch. The young guys got some time, but I would have liked to have seen Clarkson get less time, or Sensabaugh maybe get some more time. Filipowski get some more time. But overall, those were my initial thoughts. Another thing we're going to be discussing after we talk about the box score and the game overall is the possibility of John Collins being of interest to Orlando Magic. I haven't seen any rumors about this or anything, but it's just something I was thinking about, considering the state of affairs in Orlando, and all their guys going down, with Mo Wagner being lost for the season, and in this latest, and obviously Paolo Banchero is still out, so, and Franz Wagner is out as well, so John Collins could be a fit there, and we'll talk about that. So let's talk about the game initially. My initial thoughts are I thought it was an interesting game. I thought it was fun to watch. They lose by 11, which I'm happy about. No more of these wins. But overall, I thought that the Jazz played well. And my only issue with looking at the box score is really Clarkson got a whole ton of time again, and played one of the highest amounts on the team, and I just would prefer that we don't see that. I mean, Collier again only gets 13 minutes. He takes one shot and has 4 assists. 4 assists is nice in 13 minutes, but 13 minutes, one field goal attempt, not so good. And Juzang, 14 minutes. Sensabaugh, 11 minutes. It's just really, it's frustrating. And McCullough also gets 25 minutes, which is a lot of time, and that's frustrating. So, overall though, they only committed 16 turnovers in this game, and they had 27 assists. I mean, those are really good numbers, especially the 16 turnovers for the Jazz, all things considered. So those are my initial thoughts. I liked that Micah Potter also got some minutes. He's another young guy, reasonably young. I'd rather him get minutes over, although they don't play the same position, I'd rather see him in the game getting minutes compared to Clarkson. But my bright spot for the game, though, was I would say that Kessler's 16 rebounds, 8 offensive boards. I mean, he only had 9 points, but 8 offensive boards. I mean, he destroyed them on the boards. And I watched the Cleveland feed of the game, and Brad Daugherty kept on saying, "Wow, Walker Kessler is just dominating on the boards. He's just killing them." So I really like that. Good to see Walker dominate on the glass. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I felt the same way. I mean, I think it was an enjoyable game to watch. I mean, our team was competitive. Our team was better without Keontae George there. They got into offense faster. They were more efficient. They were more effective. So if you're thinking about a game to watch and fun to watch and rooting for your team, it was better, right? They played better offense. I mean, there's 2 games in a row now Keontae has not played, and it's better, frankly. Not frankly, actually, it's better. So that was nice. I think and I think that there was some great performances. Kessler is certainly one of them. It's interesting because I watched Hoops Nerd post game, and two times now he's been on this rant about Jazz winning. And look, you and I are on the same rant, just in a different way. We don't disagree with the strategy that we're winning games because we don't think that's good for us long term. But he said no one could have seen Kessler doing this in year two, and he thinks that maybe he's now the shining star of the team. And and I react to that like, no, we actually did see it in year one and thought it was in year two as well, except Hardy was not playing him. So that was the issue. Now, also, as good as Kessler was in this game, he missed those free throws at the end, and so you can criticize, like you can pick at somebody as well. And the comment I would have with Kessler on that is that let's stop having him shoot 3-pointers. We don't need a stretch, five. What we need is a guy who can hit a jump hook, and dunk the ball on a lob and hit free throws. And once he masters that, if he wants to stretch, great, right? But let's do that. Like last year or his first year, he would have been beaten by the center and power forward on Cleveland. Not anymore. I mean, this guy is good, and if we do end up trading him, we got to get a package because this guy is good. And I think we don't know, but I think he's just going to keep getting better because his offensive game really hasn't rounded out yet. But defensively and rebounding and screens, he's good. So that was my reaction. And then, the negative, so Kessler, 38 minutes, great. Bryce, 11 minutes. Juzang, 14 minutes. Collier, 14 minutes. Cody, 0 minutes. And let me just make one comment on that before I turn it back over to you. I also listened to David Locke's podcast, and he made the comment, well, the young guys are not playable. Why? Why are the young guys not playable? We're not looking to win games. We're looking for draft position. We're looking to develop our players that we think are going to be there in the future. Why are they not playable? I honestly, it was a fun game to watch. But if they would have lost by 30 with the young guys playing, I don't mind that. Do you mind that?
No.
Like, is that, if they're developing and they're playing hard, we don't mind that. So, like I feel like Locke, as normal, is lost. And what the goal of this season is to figure out who can play on our young guys. And some will not make it. We get that. Figure out who can play and get draft positioning. Those are your goals for this season. And then trade off your veterans, see if you can maximize value. So that was my impression.
Yeah, I think, if they don't end up trading the veterans, then it's just lost time. If they're just doing it solely to develop value before the trade deadline, then fine. But they've played a whole bunch the last 2 seasons, and the Jazz did trade some of their veterans, but Clarkson remains. He remains, and he's getting a whole lot of time again. And if they can't dump him, then it's just lost. It's just pointless because it serves no purpose. Absolutely no purpose whatsoever. And again, he takes 17 shots too, the third most shots on the team. So he's consuming a ton of possessions, 5 assists, 4 turnovers. So you had 25% of the Jazz total turnovers. It's inexplicable, and it's just frustrating. So I'm not happy about that. I'm still frustrated with that, and it's just wrong. So and Mikhailuk obviously too. 25 minutes. 25 minutes and 10 shots. Yeah, I think he's a good 3-point shooter, but still, that guy is not part of the Jazz plans moving forward. He's an ancillary player on any team he's going to be on. So it's just inexplicable. The goal of the season has to be for draft position and development of the young people who could possibly be on the team moving forward or become assets that you can move moving forward. but right now it's just it's a mess from that standpoint. But obviously we complain about this every single discussion after every single game because it's the same thing over and over and over and over. And Kyle Filipowski at 9 minutes is just really frustrating. And Drew Eubanks didn't even play. And I don't mind Drew Eubanks not playing, but then Kyle gets only 9 minutes, even when Drew Eubanks doesn't play. So, whatever. And Cody Williams as DNP coach's decision. I didn't even see him on the bench. Does that mean he was there, I assume?
I don't know. And honestly, with Cody Williams, if they want to give him time in the G League right now to get his confidence up, I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
but if you have him on the roster,
yeah, if he's in
Cleveland,
yeah, if he's in Cleveland. Now I don't know the G League schedule. Maybe they broke early for Christmas or something, so there weren't going to be any G League games anyway. So they brought him along, and if that's the case, okay. But if he's there still, yeah, give him some minutes, even if he's going to cause the Jazz to not be competitive in the game. Just because he's the very reason that they're not going to be competitive, play him anyway. I mean, that's fine. Just play him.
Yeah,
it's fine.
And honestly, if you can't play him, it completely supports our idea of we can't be a tense pick, right? We have a lot better odds of getting the guy if we're in the top 3 or the top 5. Like top 3, the highest odds, top 5 better. It doesn't mean that Taylor at 9 and Cody at 10 are not going to end up being players. We don't know. It's just you increase your odds of getting that guy if you go up. So give him some time, right? If he's there, give him some time. And if not, let him play 30 minutes a game and see if he can dominate the G League, right? I'm okay with that as a development tool. But it's interesting, too, like Svi. They're better with Svi playing than Keontae, right? I think we both agree with that. Svi can shoot. He could drive. He's an intelligent player at 27 years old. I think he's an underrated player at 27 years old. But what's really the goal with Svi? He's not that wily veteran that young guys can learn from, right? Because he hasn't played enough. So he's not the guy that says, "Look, this is how you develop the league," because he hasn't played a lot himself. So he's not that. Are you trying to get another Simone, which you can flip? Maybe that's the goal with him. But you're right. I agree with you. For the future, he's not going to be that guy. So I haven't really figured out what their goal with Svi is. One thing I will say on Clarkson, so it's interesting. Right now, he's shooting 33.3% from the three-point line. His career average is 33.5. So he's almost there. We may have somebody we can trade. And I've heard Denver and some other teams are, because, actually his contract's not big because they front-loaded it, 2 years ago. So maybe and his field goal is about 40 and his career is 43, so that's not great. But maybe we actually have a guy that we could trade and get a positive asset back from. Not a unprotected first. I think that's a fantasy. But maybe we actually have something there. But still, if it's winning games, it's not worth it. I would rather just sit him on the bench and not get anything than win games with him and taking away time from young guys.
Yeah, if the Jazz can't build value to where he's tradable for assets, if they can only build value enough to where somebody is willing to take on their contract and we get basically nothing in return, then don't even play him. Just eat the contract. It was a bad contract to begin with. I mean, it was obviously, we were both really upset when they gave him the extension. Just eat it. Say, okay, we made a really big mistake. Just eat it and just be done with it. Because it's just serving absolutely no purpose right now. That's my opinion on it.
Yeah, I agree with that. And frankly, he's not a good example on the court. I mean, he's ball dominant. He'll pass, but he'll pass after dribbling for 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And so he's not, if you're trying to get a Patty Mills to be a mentor, it's not Jordan Clarkson. I don't know what free minutes Hardy is doing, because Jordan Clarkson's not the guy you want other young guys to emulate.
Yeah, that.
Is he a
Yeah,
cool cat? Is Locke says, yeah. I think we all like Jordan. We find him funny, etc. But he's not the guy to emulate that we want to follow. Oh yeah, watch Jordan Clarkson. No, don't watch Jordan Clarkson.
yeah. I think he seems like a really good dude. Very odd, but a really good dude. But the problem is his on-court behavior, and that is not the guy I want mentoring young people. The way he plays is just really flawed, and it always has been. I mean, he's passing more than he ever has, but he's still a very flawed player. And that's not the guy you want. As much as I dislike Keontae, if he's trying to emulate anything with regard to Clarkson, it's a no-win situation.
Yeah, and you wonder what is the Hardy's goal then with him? Like what? Other than he thinks he's going to help him win games, and honestly, I do think that's what Hardy's trying to do again. I mean, I think he's trying to win games, and if you look at it, go back to the minutes again. Solari Markkanen, veteran, 28 years old, 27, 20, I think 28 now. Micah Potter, younger, but he's like 26 now. And honestly, that guy's impressed me. He should have been playing last year instead of Lucas Ominous, frankly. Now looking back on it, because the guy can play. I mean, he can shoot. Walker Kessler Young, fine. Svi, 27, not part of the future. Colin, 25, going to turn 26 in January. I'd like him to be part of the future, but I don't think he's part of the future. And Jordan, 33-point minutes. So, and John Collins was out to this game. And frankly, if John Collins played, I think we may have beat this team. I think we could have beat Cleveland if Collins would have played. But, so we were competitive with our veterans. We weren't competitive with our young guys. We were competitive with our veterans. And okay, we were competitive, but, that's not going to get us anywhere. So it's kind of baffling what exactly they're trying to do. It's a fun game, okay. But I would rather be, like, I watch Wemby, and I'm like, we need one of those. Okay, there's only one Wemby, but we need the next, right? We need something like that.
We need a definite top 10 player. And obviously right now that person does not exist on the Jazz roster. And so that has to be the goal. And getting one of those guys in free agency, that's not going to happen. I mean, maybe you could trade for one of those guys on a disgruntled and give up all your assets, but then you're in no better position than the team that he's being traded from, because the only reason a team would trade him is because he doesn't have that franchise doesn't have the assets around this so-called player to win. Like if it's Giannis or whatever, I mean, Jazz would have to give up all their assets to get Giannis. So, and then they're nowhere. They're exactly in the same place as even worse spot than Milwaukee currently is. So anyway, that's my thought with it. Well, do you want to talk about Collins briefly? And
Sure.
Okay, let me pull up. Collins didn't even play in this game, but let me see if I can get Collins. Well, let's just bag that. We'll just talk about it. So, what do you think about Orlando having interest in Collins?
Well, after the second Wagner went down, they won a game right after that, and I want to say it was against Boston in Orlando. So they're playing amazingly well with their three best players out. So that's a team that's got some talent, and I don't think they can win unless they get their guys back, like win, compete for a championship or something like that. But I think they should be looking to pick up, players, right? I mean, I think they should absolutely do it. I think Orlando is one of those places. I think there's a lot of others that, that will be, like, the interesting thing is that I find is not necessarily Orlando, But people are saying, or people, you have this rumors of, okay, Jeremy Grant is available, etc. And you could and look at the stats of Grant versus Collins. I looked at it the other day. You know what Grant doesn't do? He doesn't rebound at all. Like nothing. Like Collins is nine rebounds a game. Grant does nothing. His 3-point shot this year is low 30s. So he's got this massive long contract. And you got Collins on a 2-year contract at 27 a year, shooting 40 plus from the 3-point line, 9 rebounds a game. Doesn't, he's not a one-on-one player, great finish, great dunker. Um, he's worth his contract. So there's going to be people interested in Collins. I don't know if it's Orlando. I haven't heard anything about that, but there should be teams interested in him because you add him to a team that needs extra pieces to push him over the top. Collins is an ad for most of those. And I don't think I don't think our asking price is high. I mean, I think now we're going to want something, not just take the contract. We're going to want something, but
Yeah.
I don't think it's a high asking price.
Yeah. Obviously I mean, so somebody Orlando might get like an injured player trade exception or something like that. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but I know that that's part of it, and I'm not sure how much Mo Wagner was making either. I don't know, but 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 just looking at that situation overall, I think he could do Orlando a world of good. Now, the trick is just getting the salaries to match. And Jazz could, if they have any interest in one of their young players, I think that would probably be what Orlando would probably do is try and unload one of their existing young players rather than draft capital. But you know, uh, the situation there is that team I think has a reasonable shot at finishing with home court advantage in the first round. And, they have so many injuries right now, and they have a bunch of injuries at that forward position. I think that would be a really good fit for John Collins and what he does. Honestly, I think that would be a really good fit for him personally and also Orlando. We'll see. I just hope that the Jazz move on from him. I mean, I like John Collins. Like Clarkson, he seems like a really good guy, and I like the way John Collins plays much more so than Clarkson.
Mm-hmm.
But I want him to move on. I want the Jazz to move on from the older guys.
Yeah,
That's what I want to happen prior to the trade deadline expiring.
yeah, I agree with that. I think it's too bad because if we were further in our rebuild, I think John Collins would be a great addition on the team. I think he would be a positive.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's the starting forward, but I think that he would be okay coming in as a backup center forward, and I think he'd be great. And he has no issue with Utah. So honestly, but we're not. We're so far away
yeah,
because we didn't. The last 2 years were
yeah,
kind of like a wasted time.
yeah,
So we're so far away that I think you move him for assets.
yeah.
And the other guy, the guy that because I don't think they'll trade Kessler. I mean, sadly, I think they were trying to trade him in the offseason, which is like really sad. Like give him away. But yeah, they wanted 2 first-round draft picks, but honestly, you need more than that to get Walker Kessler at this point. But Collin's the other one, and I think Collin, interesting in this game. So Collin shot the most shots. Markkanen was one fewer in this game. Markkanen in the game before was the most. So now with Keontae out, you're seeing the shot distribution much better than it was. Now, I know you would say, or a lot of people would say, well, Markkanen should have been shooting the most. There's certainly an argument for that. Um, I'm biased towards Collin, but I actually think Collin may be a better player. A lot of people are not going to say that, but let's say Markkanen should have had the most shots, but it's nearing that right in this game without Keontae throwing up a lot of bricks in this. So I think it was good, but also in this game you show the frustration of Collin comes out fouling Donovan on a 3-point shot at the end and giving him 3 shots. like losing track of his player and let him go backdoor
He
on
did
him.
that. He did that multiple times, right?
Yeah.
And I saw that and I go, wow, man, Hardy's just going to yank him and just rip him, because he did that multiple times. He just lost where and his guy went behind him and he went backdoor and he got layups. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was frustrating.
And that is the frustrating part of Colin is he getting bad coaching, or can you just not coach Colin? Because Colin on that last play, he was trying to help. I think it was Kessler who was like on skates or something with somebody. He was trying to help him, but you can't lose sight of your man, because then there was just a layup. And honestly, we had a chance to win that game if he wouldn't have, if he wouldn't have fouled Donovan, if he wouldn't have had an offensive foul. And look, I love that he went and knocked the guy out of the way, but it was a moving screen. It was an offensive foul. And then fouling Donovan on a 3-point shot, you can't do that. I'm sorry. Let him shoot it. It's okay. He's shooting 40% from three this year. He will come down because every year Donovan is this way. He starts hotter, it goes down, he ends up like 36 to 38%. He's a good 3-point shooter, but he's not great. So if he hits it, congratulations, right? Don't foul him. So that's the frustrating part of Colin, right? I mean, it is, because as much as I like him, I can't look. You got backdoored. What the heck? How could that happen, right? When the game's on the line that way. So, but you have Colin is probably in the mix of to be traded too. And let's see if we get assets and value, good assets and value for him, because he is a scoring machine. And there should be teams out there that will let him play more than Hardy. So that's my thought. Let me bring up one thing, and this is why I asked you to write down a paper. So you and I want to go for the draft, right? That's because we need a top 10 player. But I will also say, and this is like into the John Collins, Colin Sexton comment. And Colin Sexton in particular, what my question is going to be about. So I looked at the draft. I just picked up one randomly. The 2020 draft with Anthony Edwards is the number one pick in it. So there's 30 picks in the first round. I'm going to read through the players and their positioning. You write down on your sheet of paper which of those guys are stars. Well, no, superstars, stars, starting caliber players or rotational players. And then and my point of this is the drafts are a crapshoot. So and then I'm going to ask you how many of those players are better than Colin Sexton. So let me go through. So Anthony Edwards, number one. Number two, James Wiseman. Number three, LaMelo Ball. Number four, Patrick Williams, Chicago Bulls. Number five, Isaac Okoro. Number six, Aneki Okongwu on Atlanta. I don't even know who that is. Number seven, Killian Hayes. Number eight, Obi Toppin. Number nine, Denny Abdia. I can't pronounce his name either on Washington Wizards. Number 10, Jalen Smith. Number 11, Devin Vassell. Number 12, Tyrese Halliburton. Number 13, Kyrie Lewis Jr. Number 14, Aaron Nesmith. Number 15, Cole Anthony. Number 16, Isaiah Stewart. Number 17, Alexei Pokusevsky. Was on Minnesota, and I don't think he's even in the league. Number 18, Josh Green. Number 19, Sadiq Bey. Number 20, Precious Achua. Number 21, Tyrese Maxey. Number 22, Zeke Naji. Number 23, Leandro Balmaro. Number 24, R.G. Hampton. Number 25, Emmanuel Quickly. Number 26, Peyton Pritchard. Here's one of ours. Number 27, Azubuike. Number 28, Jaden McDaniels. This is the Jaden McDaniels Yeah, the Minnesota Judy McDaniels. 29, Maleki Flynn. Number 30th, Desmond Bain. Okay. So that's 30 players. I'll let you tabulate it up quickly.
Well, I was just writing them down that I thought of the players that I thought were better than Sexton, and obviously I think of the players that I would probably prefer over Sexton. I guess I would say Anthony Edwards, Vassell, Halliburton, Maxey. I might take Jaden McDaniels over just because of his size and his ability to defend. I would take Bain, and I might take Quickly, possibly. I haven't watched Quickly enough to make that decision. But those are the players that I have that I think are better than Colin. So that's 7.
7. And that's a pretty good draft, actually.
Yeah. I mean, that draft has quality players.
Yeah, so there's probably, in the 30 picks, there's probably 15 quality players in there. And that's a pretty good draft. And some of them were like later in the draft. So clearly Ant is there. I honestly think Maxey is wildly overrated.
Yeah, I do too.
His number, like, they were talking like all NBA, and in the Ringer he was in the top 20. You're like, how in the world do you put Maxey? Well, this year he's at 40 and 31%.
Yeah, Embiid went down and his numbers tanked.
Yeah. So so the whole thing. But so I wouldn't put Max in there. I like Devin Vassell too. I think he's big. He's underrated, actually. But my point with it is the draft is a crapshoot. So we have, Colin is 25 going on 26. You could take the position that he's young enough that maybe you want to hang on with him because maybe he is a guy that says you want to be of the future, because getting guys as good as Colin Sexton is hard. And honestly, I think that he's completely underutilized right now in the Hardy system, that he could be much better than he actually is. So that's the point I was trying to make. This is a pretty good draft. We're going to miss. We need a lot of shots on goal because we're going to miss. I mean, there's guys in here like James Wiseman's a dog. Patrick Williams, number 4. Patrick Williams is nothing. Look, he's still young, so he may turn into. But is he a number 4 draft pick? No, he's probably a 15th to 20th draft pick. Isaac Okoro, number 5.
Yeah.
He couldn't get a contract this offseason. Until Cleveland gave him. And I don't mind Isaac Okoro. I mean, I think he's I'd like to have him on my team, but he's a bench player, right? Killian Hayes, Obi Toppin. I like Obi Toppin too, but he's clearly a guy coming off the bench. So this is hard. This is a real crapshoot. And so if you do trade away. If you trade away a guy like Colin Sexton, you're doing it because you're trying to lose more, which is fine. We both want to do that. But you're also doing it because you think you can get multiple shots on goal. And if you can't, one shot on goal, unless it's a high draft pick, that's not enough for me, honestly. It's not enough for me. It's enough for me for Spee, right? Or Clarkson. But for Colin, it's not. Kessler, honestly, I want 3 shots on goal for Kessler. Maybe more. It would take a lot for me to trade away Kessler.
Yeah. I like I've previously said, obviously that guy's my favorite guy on the team at this point in time. So I would not trade him. I mean, people are talking about trading him for two draft picks. I wouldn't trade him for 2 draft picks.
No.
I mean, I might trade him for 2 draft picks and then another really good prospect that's already on a young prospect. I might do that depending on the prospect, but I'm not going to just trade him for 2 unknown draft picks. There's no way. I mean, I might not. I don't think I would trade him straight across for one number 8 lottery pick. I wouldn't trade him for one number 8 lottery pick because I think he's better than the average number 8 lottery pick. I mean, he's one of the best defensive players in the NBA, and I'd argue in terms of impact in the paint, I would say he's probably number 2 behind Wemby.
Yeah, he is.
I don't see anybody above him. So I think he's better. Rudy's no longer blocking shots for whatever reason. I don't watch enough Minnesota games to know why, but Rudy hasn't dropped block shots the past couple of years. So I think Walker's the guy.
Yeah, yeah. So look at your list again. How many of those would you take above Walker on your list?
Yeah,
And right?
yeah, probably Edwards is the only guy. I mean, I wouldn't take. I honestly don't like Halliburton, so I think that guy's another guy's unbelievably overrated. So it would probably be Edwards of the people that I wrote down. It'd be Edwards. I like Desmond Bain, but I think that I would
I do
keep
too.
him. I think I would take Kessler over him.
Yeah, Desmond can't hit his own, can't create his own shot. And so I like Desmond Bain too, but I honestly question if Desmond Bain is a starting NBA player on a championship team. I think he's a starting NBA player. I don't know if he is on your championship team unless he's maybe your fourth or fifth best player on the starting lineup.
Hmm.
So I think I like Desmond Bain. Halliburton, I forgot about Halliburton. Halliburton's an interesting one because he does get a ton of assists. He's got that really ugly shot, but it goes in from 3 point line. So maybe I put Halliburton. He's big too, right? We've been both saying we'd really like a really big point guard that could like see over people, etc. And Halliburton is that. So Halliburton, I'd be tempted with Halliburton, but that those other guys like Maxi, no way. I look, the ringer is going to put him above, but I think there's more upside in Edwards than there is with Maxi and Devin Vassell. There's a lot of Devin Vassell's out there. I like Devin Vassell. I think he's an underrated, underappreciated player, but Kessler, I don't think he has the upside Kessler does. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, it would take a lot. It would take a lot for me to give up Kessler. Yeah, it'd be great to have a stretch five. I'm not, but you need a stretch five that plays defense. I mean, Minnesota traded away Towns because they didn't feel like he played defense, and they're probably right about that. Unfortunately, they gave him away for something, but it's really hard to find a center that does both. And you know, um, like look at Cleveland, team we just played. They got two guys that play good defense, but offensively, one not good at all, and then one improving. But it's there's not a lot of Wemby's out there, that have that. And then you have like, you have these guys they only play offense. Yeah, they put up good offensive numbers, but they're nothing as a defensive stopper. And honestly, I'd rather have the defensive stopper.
Yeah,
So.
the Jazz got to get two-way players. I mean that they can't. I mean they can't go with these guys like Keontae that are obviously, regardless of what he does ever does on offense, he's always going to be less than average for his position defender. I mean that's just there's no way he's ever going to be a plus
Hmm.
defender. No chance.
Hmm. Yeah, and Flip is another one where he can move his feet, but I'm just looking at this box score here. He's a guy, he doesn't have long arms, so he's never going to be the defensive. I think he actually could be a one-on-one good defensive player. I think he moves his feet a lot better than he got credit for coming out of the draft, but he's not going to be a walker. Could he be a good offensive center? Yeah, yeah. I am still incredibly bullish on Flip, but is he going to be a Walker defensive stopper? No chance.
No,
He just
no.
like Walker, he blocks with both hands. I've
Yeah.
never seen that. I've never seen that before. I mean, he is just so skilled at it, and he's getting offensively. He's just getting better. So So it'll be interesting. I honestly don't think they'll trade Walker now. I think that notwithstanding what Hoops Nerd said that no one saw this coming. Yeah, actually, people did see it coming.
Yeah, that guy's
Just yeah, Kessler. Hardy did see it coming, but that's not. Hardy doesn't see a lot of things coming. Hardy's also the guy playing Jordan Clarkson.
yeah,
Not the smartest tool in the shed, or not the sharpest tool in the
yeah,
shed. So
yeah.
anyhow.
Well, all right. Well, do you want to wrap this one up then
Yeah.
and call it good? Okay. Well, we'll be back on with post game and comment and analysis after the next Jazz game. We are stopping the stream